Burn is an archetype with a very simple premise. Use cheap damage spells to deal 21 damage to your opponent. This simple premise has made it prevalent in every format in Magic since the beginning of the game. From Standard to Pauper, Burn has left its mark in history on each format. However, in Modern, this archetype has fallen on rough times, and while it may seem sometimes that Burn is rising to the top again, looks can be deceiving. So, what's going on here? Why does Burn seemingly rise, and fall? Why does it see so little play? Why does no one play Burn?
Loic is just the mad scientist of Burn decks right
It's
now.
insane. It is incredible. He has pushed towards the late game and ground out against a black-green rock player. Can you believe it?
Oh, what a stinker. What a stinker for
finally.
Ward. Oh, finally.
See, land, play it, Primeval Titan, bolt, bolt, bolt!
This video topic was suggested by some of our viewers in the comments of the Affinity video, so if you want to see us cover a list, have an idea for a video, and want to stay up to date, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that you get notified for when videos like these come out. Let's start by looking at what Burn is currently doing in Modern today. This list, piloted to an 8th place RCQ finish by Michelle Malfi, is basically what you'd expect. Goblin Guide is a 1-mana 2/2 with haste, with the downside of maybe giving your opponent a land off the top of their library. Monastery Swiftspear is another 1-mana haster, but with prowess, allowing it to get huge with some spell chaining. Rounding out the creatures, we have Flage, the red-white Uro. A lightning helix on entering, it can then be escaped from the graveyard to offer a late-game body and continuous lightning helix on attack. We then have instants and sorceries, which take up the vast majority of the non-lands. Lightning Bolt, Lava Spike, and ideally Skewer the Critics and Rift Bolt are the 1-mana 3-damage spells that Burn thrives off of. Unfortunately, there's not enough of these for pure density, so other spells have to be added. Play with Fire is the last 1-mana damage spell, losing a point of damage for the ability to scry if it hits a player. For 2 drops, Boros Charm deals 4 damage for 2 mana and can potentially make Goblin Guides and Monastery Swiftspears have double strike in a pinch. Searing Blaze is like 2 Lightning Bolts stapled together if your opponent has a creature and you played a land, and finally Skullcrack, a way to get around an opponent trying to gain life, or if they somehow give themselves protection. This list is going to ring familiar to anyone who's played with or against Burn in Modern throughout the years. This list is basically unchanged from what we've seen years prior. Basically unchanged. From 2013 to 2016, Burn basically got a new tool every block. The printings of Boros Charm, Eidolon of the Great Revel, and Monastery Swiftspear were the backbone of what we think of as Burn today. Inspiring Vantage was the fast land the deck desperately needed. But in recent years, Burn has not received nearly as much support as other archetypes have. I mean, even Eldrazi has gotten more support in recent times than Burn. And as we saw with Bogles, an archetype not getting support while other archetypes do is an incredibly fast way to stagnate and fall out of the meta. But that's not entirely fair. Burn has gotten some things. 2 of the newest cards in Burn are lands. Elegant Parlor is a great fetch when you have nothing else to do and need to smooth out a draw next turn, and Sunbaked Canyon turns land drops into card draw. There is, of course, Play with Fire, but the card isn't ubiquitous among lists and only deals 2 damage versus the 3 that Burn wants to see in its 1-mana spells. The lack of new 1-mana 3-damage unconditional Burn spells has been a massive problem for Burn. Wizards doesn't seem particularly keen on printing more Lightning Bolt effects, and Burn has suffered for it. For Standard and Pioneer, 3 damage unconditionally for a single mana is deemed too powerful, opting for 1 mana 2 damage or 2 mana 3 damage. In Modern, we already have Lightning Bolt, so Wizards doesn't see the need to print another Lightning Bolt via a Modern Horizons set. But what about the newest card, Flage? Well, Flage is an incredibly good card. A late game threat that Lightning Helixes on entering and attack is incredibly strong. But Flage is less of a burn card and more of a Boros card. And we're seeing that with the rise of Boros and Mardu energy. Some people consider Flage the glue that holds energy together, giving the deck a generically strong 3-drop that plays well outside of its game plan. Remove the energy creatures? Remove the energy entirely? Sure. Here's a card that doesn't care about energy at all and is coming at you for a 12-point life swing every time it attacks. Also, that Helix effect? Not ideal when it's played in the most popular archetype and you're trying to win with damage spells. Flage's tacked on life gain effect also brings attention to another problem that Burn is facing in Modern. Life totals just aren't that low anymore. At Burn's peaks, decks were lowering their life totals at record paces. At its first peak, Fetch, Shock, Thoughtseize was not an uncommon line, and decks running 3-color mana bases had to constantly Fetch Shock to stay on curve. Because of this constant Fetch Shocking, decks were effectively starting the game at 14 to 15 life, which made Burn's job a lot easier. With the printing of Oko, a powerful planeswalker with incidental life gain paired with a deck that facilitated an infinite life combo, Burn could beat it, but struggled. This was only amplified when Oko became the most played card in Modern. But it wouldn't last. On January 13th, 2020, Oko was banned in Modern. Then Ikoria came, and Burn found its footing and peaked once again. Lurrus, even post-Companion Errata, was causing fast, aggressive decks to be the name of the game. And those decks love Fetch Shocking to land a turn 1 into turn 2 play. Burn also got to utilize Lurrus, with no changes really needed to accommodate, and ran 4 Mishra's Baubles and sometimes a Seal of Fire as a strong engine. And of course, its old prey, Death Shadow, was alive and well. Eventually, Lurrus was banned on March 7th, 2022, and decks no longer had as much of an incentive to be low to the ground. Because of this, Burn now had a new problem. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, Omnath, Locus of Creation, Lightning Helix, and the Pitch Elementals all mashed together in a 4-color soup pile. Well, it's a 4-color deck, so you need a lot of shocks, you need a lot of fetches, you need to be able to hit your plays, so at least their mana base being greedy means they have lower life totals, right? Well, remember Ikoria? It didn't just bring Lurrus, Yorion, and the companions, it also brought the Triomes. As long as these soup decks didn't commit to turn 1 and turn 2 plays, the Triomes guaranteed 3 of your colors. Burn was no longer able to rely on its opponent's Fetch Shocking to bring their life total down. Uro gained 3 life and ramped on entering an attack, and could escape for later. The Pitch Elementals were able to remove threats and block well, Lightning Helix was removal and life gain, and Omnath, well, Omnath was a monster for the deck, gaining 4 life for the first land played each turn. Burn was forced to run a playset of Skullcrack main board just to try and stumble the life gain that these decks put out. Even after Uro was banned and money piles started very slowly fading away, decks started consolidating towards 1 and 2 color lists that could use other dual lands like the Surveil lands and other utility lands. And most recently, Boros and Mardu Energy utilize Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride for synergistic life gain. It's not a good meta for Burn when a Soul Sister is seeing widespread competitive play. I've been talking about Burn peaking and falling, up and down, just like a roller coaster. And some of you might be thinking, well, hold on. I do remember Burn being good when Modern Horizons 3 came out, and that's true, because Burn has 2 different times when it peaks in popularity. The first, like Infect, is when the format is fast. The second is when the format is new. Like Infect, Burn being linear and fast is great when other decks in the meta are trying to be linear and fast. You're fighting fire with fire. In formats like Hogak's Summer, Burn was able to retool and run 4 Deflecting Palm, which was basically a 2-mana 8 damage burn spell that was a 16-point life swing in the matchup. When KCI was legal, Burn hoped it slung burn spells faster than KCI could assemble a full combo. The other times Burn peaks is when a set comes out that is strong enough to shake up Modern. Since the beginning of the format, Burn has been the litmus test for brewers. If your new list can't beat a bunch of lightning bolts thrown at you, well, back to the drawing board. This is why Burn saw so much popularity when Modern Horizons 3 released. Burn got Flage, a hot new toy, combined with the usual game plan. People were working on different lists and brews and cards, and Burn went, cool, take 3. Then, once a format settles, Burn falls to the wayside as the established archetypes can deal with it. We saw this with Money Pile, we've seen this with energy decks, and we're seeing that with any deck utilizing the One Ring. With incidental life gain running around and the One Ring in almost every deck, Burn is once again forced to run a playset of Skullcrack to try and combat the modern meta the best it can. Burn is an archetype that has seen play since the very beginning of Magic's history. A simple, linear, yet effective deck. Unfortunately for Burn, Modern has not been kind to it over the years. The lack of support, the lack of reckless life loss, and the printing of incidental life gain effects that are competitively viable are the nails that have been sunk into Burn's coffin. And while it would be great if Burn's roller coaster ride would continue up and down, peaking and falling, it looks like the ups and downs of this ride may have finally come to an end.